I'm going to finish up with vitamins, and there are quite a few slides here too, a little bit on each one. So I almost made it through all the water solubles, but I did not. Choline and vitamin C are the last pack. And we're also going to look at some fat soluble ones and some of the components of getting good vitamins and having a good variety of diet. This again is a great reminder of where our vitamins assist us. So our fat soluble vitamins A through K, you can see that there are not energy producing, but more with immune function, growth, vision, bone health, acting as antioxidants for muscle function, for hormone function, and then we have choline, which is for nervous function and for muscle function. So choline is important for brain and nervous tissue, and it's especially needed in its formation of acetylcholine, and that's what is helpful for us for muscle activation. It's essential for DNA and fat transportation and metabolism. It's really important for mood and memory and brain function, so choline is critical. We find that animal sources tend to be rich in choline, and certain vegetables, legumes, and also lecithin. And lecithin is that thickener or emulsifier that keeps fat dissolved in gravy, salad dressing. You'll find it in, you can also take it as a supplement. It's rare to have a deficiency of choline. There's no RDA, but there is an AI. You can see there is a difference between men and women. The adequate intake is approximately 500 milligrams. And you'll see that with this list of foods that I've included, a half a cup of Brussels sprouts, you can get choline there. You can get it in some vegetables, some cruciferous vegetables. You have some in peanuts, green peas, but in terms of animal products, a much greater amount, with the exception of soy-based protein powder. So that is an option for vegetarians or vegans. Tofu, soy-based protein. Having too much is far, far, far in advance above the adequate intake of 500. So that would be a very big intake. Are supplements needed? It's not really clear. There really isn't enough research to indicate that it is needed, and so I would err on getting sufficient amounts in food. Vitamin C is our first, still our water soluble. It's important for collagen synthesis. It's known as ascorbic acid or ascorbate. The collagen synthesis is especially important. It comes into play with healing connective tissue or tendons or ligaments or cartilage or bones. So we're looking at the vitamin C potentially being taken after a heavy workout, for example. That might be an opportunity where a person would perhaps get some source of vitamin C in post-workout. Vitamin C is important for iron absorption, and the amount for smokers is up about 35 milligrams. So the RDA or adequate intake is 90, 75, and here you have some really great sources in terms of fruit, wheat bran, and many of your citrus vegetables. You'll see that you also have some a single animal source, which is beef liver cooked, but most of our sources are grains or either vegetables and fruit. It's always surprising to me that strawberries are so high in vitamin C, and look at cantaloupe, and if you look down the aisle, where do you see oranges? Oranges. Well, we have orange fresh 140, but strawberries are also 140. Orange juice chilled is 240, so that's pretty amazing. Supplementing vitamin C over 150 milligrams each day is not beneficial. It's just going to be excreted through the urine. It's not absorbed. The upper limit is 2,000, and if you have chronic levels of high intake, there are signs of toxicity, and kidney stones is one. And if a person is at risk for kidney stones, that certainly is a reason why someone would not take excessive vitamin C for a certain kind of kidney stone. There are limits in terms of supplementation. The U.S. Olympic Committee only allows 250 to 1,000 milligrams per day, so that would be a reason not to have additional supplementation. If an individual is at risk for excessive iron absorption, they should not take supplements. But if an individual has low iron content, vitamin C as a supplement might be beneficial for them. You can see there's a number of great sources for vitamin C. Vitamin A is the start of the fat-soluble vitamins, and that means that we do have the capacity to store these vitamins long-term, primarily in the fat cells and also in the liver. So a lot of the toxicity is going to be associated with liver function and also the function of what the vitamin, the role it plays in the body. So vitamin A, retinoids, they're important for vision and for epithelial or skin and mucous membranes. And so the lack of vitamin A, we're going to see visual problems and skin issues. Having too much vitamin A, you're going to see skin issues. Now the retinoids are animal sources and the plant sources are carotenoids, and those are less active, and so you need a bigger quantity. And here we have our amounts in terms of where we have. It looks like the international unit. Sweet potatoes are right up there with beef liver. Great way, good reason to eat a sweet potato is it does have that great vitamin A. And you know you're going to get, especially in plant sources, you're going to see a lot of yellow and orange kind of colors. This is a deficiency, night blindness, so the ability to have any acuity at night is really impaired. Hyperkeratinosis is something you can Google if you want to see what that looks like, but that's going to look like an abnormality on the skin, and it can be in a variety of places, on the feet, on the hands, the arms, on the back, on the breasts, a variety of places. Toxicity is going to have some damage to the liver because that is its storage space, blurred vision, vomiting. The likelihood of supplementation is low, especially you can get plenty in your diet. The carotenoids, those are the ones that are found in plants, and here you have your beautiful colors of peppers, carrots, butternut squash, papaya, lemons, lentils. So these are really not considered vitamins, but the ones that are critical or vital to health include the alpha and beta carotene and also the beta cryptoxanthin. Those are provitamin A carotenoids and can be converted to vitamin A. Lycopene, lutein, and zeaxanthin are also carotenoids. They're involved in antioxidants, immune function, and potentially, because they are an antioxidant, aiding in cancer prevention. You can get enough of those carotenoids if you have a lot of color. Color on your plate. Color on your plate. Food sources are the best way to get it, and by looking at supplements, there's a wide variety, but we certainly want to pay attention to if a person's getting a good diet and a nice variety, they're undoubtedly getting enough of their carotenoids. Vitamin D is obtained either through food sources, and that vitamin D is often D3. It's a dietary calciferol. The other way that we get it is through the sun, and there's a conversion of a substance that gets converted to a D3. It goes to the liver, and there, with the action of parathyroid hormone, the kidneys then get the active form, produce the active form of vitamin D in the body. And that active form, calcitriol, is really the one that has the action in the body. So we can either consume it or we get sunlight. We end up needing that vitamin D for absorption of calcium in the small diet, in the small intestine. So we end up being able to absorb our calcium that way. The vitamin helps with bone calcification, and also believed to help with to stop cell proliferation. And so it is important for healthy bones and healthy teeth, certainly important. Now, there is research that indicates that long-term supplementation of vitamin D may reduce the risk of MS. So here we have our RDA of international units of 600 to 800. So let's take a look to see what we have for sources. So some sources is often going to be fish that has the bones. So canned fish, the solids and the bones, now they're going to be really, really soft. And in certain cultures, eating the bones and actually utilizing the bones and making broth and utilizing all of the nutrients out of those bones is helping with getting sufficient vitamin D and helps with calcium. So we're looking at sardines, canned salmon, and here we have some fortified milks and fortified orange juice. So if somebody's lactose intolerant, fortified foods are going to be their great way to go. And notice you have ready-to-eat fortified cereals. So we have some options to be able to get sufficient vitamin D for vegetarians, vegans, through some fortified cereals. Deficiency in vitamin D is going to be associated with weakened bones, more for Americans on a Western diet. Osteoporosis or osteopenia, which is the pre-stage of osteoporosis, is going to be the biggest issue. Not having sufficient vitamin D is going to result in weakened bones, and then a person is at risk for fractures. Now, you might think this is only for individuals that are old, but we have young athletes, particularly individuals that are in gymnastics, sources of sports that are focused on lightness, ballet, figure skating, where with a low-calorie diet, insufficient source of vitamin D, not getting enough calcium, which happens in the next chapter, puts them at a very low bone bank. So when they get to be 25 and 30, their bone bank is low and they're at greater risk for osteoporosis. So our young athletes need to have good vitamin D and calcium to have good, strong bones. So if they do not eat or drink milk or animal products, we do need to supplement it with fortified foods and perhaps a supplement. So a poor diet, vegetarian or vegan, someone who has been diagnosed with vitamin D deficiency, I will tell you that my blood value was 5, and that is super low, and so I just regularly take vitamin D now, and I actually have osteopenia, and whoever thought I would have that? Not me. So I was really, really surprised. Individuals who train excessively and are primarily indoors, don't get enough sun exposure, they might need a supplement as well. But it's important to have a blood test to make sure before you start taking large doses of vitamin D. And here are the values of the status. So that nanograms per milliliter, I just mentioned I was 7. So vitamin D deficiency can lead to osteomalacia in adults. That's extremely, extremely low. So we definitely want to be mindful of our young athletes and their dietary intake of variety. If they're not getting enough calcium or not getting enough sunshine, not eating fortified foods, something that we need to pay attention to. Vitamin E is important as an antioxidant and also important for healthy skin and eyes. We look at these values. We have an RDA of 15 milligrams, so it's not a tremendous amount. And we have our good sources in our wheat brands, Wheat Germ, Total Cereal. So we've got grains and also some good sources in some oils and seeds. So vitamin E is pretty readily available. Here we have peanuts, could be peanut butter also in there, which is a very affordable type of source of protein and also vitamin E. It's unlikely to have deficiencies. It's possible, but if somebody does have a deficiency, then a supplement might be needed. But here's again some great sources. Just looking at avocados, pumpkin seeds, almonds, seed oils, very easy to get. Vitamin K is going to be associated with blood clotting and bone mineralization. We have good sources it's the cabbage family. The cabbage family are going to be turnip greens, cauliflower, and here it's interesting to me, it's raw spinach. So for a salad, having a spinach salad or throwing some spinach in is certainly a great way to get some additional or some vitamin K. Once we cook it, it impacts that vitamin. Deficiency, there's very little research based on supplementation. I found one study that said there was a potential of the vitamin to boost effectiveness of cardiovascular training. One study. So I would think that is going to be one that would focus on just getting the dietary intake. Free radicals are molecules that contain oxygen and have an unpaired electron, and they're very damaging to cell membranes, to protein, to DNA. And they're produced when someone eats fried food, when you drink alcohol, if you're exposed to air pollutants, tobacco smoke, pesticides, ionizing radiation, excessive sun, aging, and also metabolism, or during metabolism. They're produced with metabolism. And those metabolic free radicals are called reactive oxidative species. And what the antioxidants do is they donate a free radical, or excuse me, donate a free electron to that free radical, and then it becomes neutralized. Once it's neutralized, it no longer is damaging. And so the role of antioxidants can be beneficial for decreasing that damage to the cell wall, to DNA, potentially a role in prevention of the development of cancer, abnormal cell mutation, cardiovascular disease, and maybe even nerve degenerative diseases such as Parkinson's or MS. So we have potential for those antioxidants to really help with neutralizing these free radicals. And vitamin E is known as one that will do that. So here you have a picture of the unpaired. The free radicals got this electron just hanging out there looking for a pair, and vitamin C can donate a free electron and neutralize it, and it doesn't hurt the vitamin C. It's done its job, but now you have a free radical that is no longer going to be demolishing. The main issue is to try to get your vitamins, these antioxidants. Best way to get them is in the form of food. Getting them in food sources is truly optimal because not enough is understood about taking them in large amounts by mouth through supplementation. Another component that's talked about in this chapter is phytochemicals, and phyto means plant, and phytochemicals are these components that have amazing impact on decreasing risk factors of particularly noting cardiovascular disease and certain cancers. And these are not vitamins, they're not minerals, but they have an action to really alter our risk for disease. And these particular phytochemicals are found primarily in fruits, vegetables, and grains. Here's an example of the phytochemicals, and you can see lignans. I'm sure you've heard that word before. Flaxseed, soybeans, carotenoids, already mentioned those. They have the yellow, red, dark green leafy, allium, garlic, and onion. They're beautiful, beautiful flowers, but they're awesome. Throw garlic and onion in everything you cook, right? Lycopene, very important from tomato products. Important for prostate cancer, decreasing prostate cancer for men. So tomatoes, ketchup, awesome. So these phytochemicals have different classifications, and the classifications are basically the phenolic and their flavonoids, and these are the grape source and the green teas. So the grape skin particular is really the big part of it. We look at it in wine, but it can also be found in grape juice. It doesn't have to be wine, but that's when we started to look at the health of a glass of red wine every day because it has these flavonoids. Now teas have both flavonoids and phenolic acids, and teas are great. Green and black is good, but we tend to have the greatest ones, the focus on the green tea. And here are your organosulfides. These are anti-cancer, and you can see leeks, broccoli, cabbage. What do we have? Red onions, a durian, stinky beans. How about that? Who's ever heard of stinky beans? Garlic, Chinese chives. So we'll see that certain cultures will use the green onions in almost everything, and they're great sources of these phytochemicals. Watercress, that's the one in the upper left-hand corner, and bok choy. The lycopene is a carotenoid, so we've got our bright colored peppers, tomatoes, super important, especially for men to have tomatoes in their diet every day. As I mentioned before, it's decreasing your risk of prostate cancer. And if you live long enough and you're a man, you're probably going to be, the likelihood of having prostate cancer is quite high. So it's a good step to incorporate these lycopenes into your diet. So to increase your phytochemical intake, tea, grapes, tomato sauce, pasta with tomato sauce, nuts and seeds on salads. I use pumpkin seeds. I like sunflower seeds. I like or pepitos. I sometimes throw walnuts. I like almonds. Use garlic whenever you can. Shallots, very important. Use the white and the green part. I think it's interesting to look at soy milk instead of dairy milk on cereal or as a beverage. That's a possibility if you're a vegan or vegetarian. That would be a reason to choose soy milk. There are other issues with soy milk, but that would help you with phytochemicals. Always try to vary your whole grains and try new grains. Bulgur, barley, or oats. Now, oats aren't probably anything that you've not had, but barley, you can have barley vegetable soup. And bulgur is almost like it's a different kind of grain. It's interesting, but it's definitely one that you can give a try to with like a salad. But need to find a recipe for it. Trying to eat fruit for your dessert or fruit as your snack is a great way to increase your phytochemicals as well. So the main thing is to get a lot of color, a lot of variety, more whole grain, more less processed, and try to have as much variety as possible.